Why, hello there, I'm Professor Joel, and welcome to another episode of Planet Scooby Reviews. Today we are covering the Ghoul, the Bat, and the Ugly, and this episode originally aired on December 8th, 1979, and it is episode 12 of the Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo Season 1. This episode sees the gang attending the Batty Awards, where they encounter the shadow creature, and that's a monster who is featured in a horror movie that is set to be premiered the following year. So the audience is about to get like a sneak preview of this film, and the monster comes and just ruins everything at this horror movie themed award show. Anyway, not much trivia for this one other than it's Marla Frumkin's first portrayal of Velma, and I'm not a fan of this voice performance. I'll get into it in my review. But anyway, enough of my jibber jabber. Let's get on with the review. The episode begins with a ceremony celebrating the best of horror in film. All the guests are dressed up and we get some clever takes on Mr. Hyde, the San Francisco Demon, and the classic zombie. Best actor in a horror film goes to Judson Carr, and then presenter Brandon Davis is about to show a film, and the film is Curse of the Shadow Creature, which is set to premiere next year, so everyone in the audience is about to get a sneak preview. When the film starts, the audience goes wild. That is until the actual shadow creature shows up and frightens everyone away.
And now the moment you've all been waiting for, our special preview of next year's horror hits. The Curse of the Shadow Creature! Just as soon as I start the projector.
You've glorified make-believe horror too long. Now you'll see what it's like to really face the powers of darkness. This will be the last time your panel of judges gives an award for anything.
In the Mystery Machine, the gang are running late on their way to the Batty Awards, and as they approach Hillside Manor, where the awards are happening, they watch as the costumed audience of monsters and other villains race out of the award show.
Jinkies, I'm sure glad we could get tickets for tonight's Batty Awards.
All I know is there's somebody's voice on this tape, and he sure sounds alive to me.
Maybe we'll get to meet some of our favorite movie monsters.
Here we are, everybody. Hillside Manor.
Look!
Ruff and double ruff!
Mr. Davies explains what has happened, and Velma asks if they can look around. Freddy and the girls head up to the projection room, and there they find the movie film has been shredded.
Wait! Oh, come back! This could ruin the Batty Awards for good.
Can we take a look around?
Oh, sure. Come with me. I had just started the projector and was on my way back downstairs when the film broke and the shadow creature appeared. Here's the projection room, but I don't know what you expect to find. Oh, no. Film. It's been cut to pieces. The producer lent me his only copy of the movie for the preview. Oh, he'll be furious.
I guess we'll have to look for clues.
Scrappy attacks a man dressed as Dracula, who turns out to be famous actor Creighton Ames, who is quite angry for not winning Best Actor award for the past 3 years in a row.
Who are you?
He's Creighton Ames.
Jeepers, the famous actor.
I'm warning you, Davies, you haven't seen the last of me.
Oh, well, don't worry about him. He's just a sore loser.
In the lobby, Freddy, Daphne, and Velma are the first to run into the shadow creature, who makes a mess out of the lobby display. In the mess of things, Velma discovers a news report on the back of the ad for the award show, and this report just explains that some priceless stamps have been stolen.
Hey, how about that? A full-page ad for the awards in the Times.
That's very impressive.
Not nearly as impressive as what will happen to you, unless you leave here at once.
Phew.
It's disappeared. Look at this, guys. Priceless first day covers stolen.
Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy run into a wolfman while looking for the kitchen, and the wolfman turns out to be Harrison Stone. Harrison Stone was one of the founders of the Batty Awards, but formed his own award show after having a disagreement with Brandon Davies. Harrison came up to patch things up with Brandon, and was dressed as the Wolfman to scare away the shadow creature, in case he encountered him. Before Harrison heads off to find Brandon, Shaggy hands Harrison some letters he found to give to Brandon, and Harrison just brushes Shaggy off. This is a good thing because Velma inspects the letters and notes none of them are actually addressed to Mr. Davies.
The Film Fans Yearbook has a section on the Batty Awards. Yoinks!
What's all the commotion? It's Harrison Stone.
Like he was one of the founders of the Batty Awards, but formed a competing group after a disagreement with Brandon Davies. It says so right here.
That's true. I came back here tonight to patch things up with my old partner.
Seems like a funny way to patch up a quarrel.
If you'd seen that shadow creature in action, you'd be careful too.
Could you give him his mail?
That's odd.
None of these envelopes is addressed to Mr. Davies.
And that's not all. I think you'd better hang on to these, Shaggy.
But not for long.
In the kitchen, Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy finally run into the shadow creature, and we get a longer chase scene full of our typical hijinks and gags.
I'll teach you to meddle in my affairs.
Scrappy thinks he's finally caught the shadow creature, but it turns out to be Creighton Ames, who we earlier saw just as Dracula, and Creighton states that he thinks Brandon Davies is accepting bribes for who wins the best actor because Creighton feels he should have at least won once in the past 3 years. Brandon says he'd never accept bribes because he's not broke. Look at this house after all that he lives in. It's huge.
What's going on in here?
That's what we'd like to know.
It's Creighton Ames.
Well, he said we hadn't seen the last of him.
Davies is selling the Best Actor Awards, I'm certain of it.
You mean people are paying to win?
Yes, otherwise I'd have won myself. I came back to look for proof.
That's nonsense. If I was so broke I had to sell the awards, do you think I could afford to live in this house? Come on, Ames. This time I'll make sure you leave.
Scrappy, Shaggy, and Scooby then run into a woman dressed as the Bride of Frankenstein, who turns out to be Dolores Canfield, and she wants Brandon Davies to sell the house so she can turn it into a shopping center. Apparently, Brandon approached Dolores first about this issue, but has since changed his mind.
Missed my monster.
That's no monster. She's Dolores Canfield, a real estate developer.
I had to put on this silly outfit just to get into the house tonight.
She's been haunting me to sell this place so she can put up a shopping center.
If you'll remember, Mr. Davies, it was you who originally approached me.
I told you I'm not interested anymore.
Velma finds a scrap of projector film and then loads up a projector and finds an image of Brandon Davies at a location shot. Figuring out the mystery, it's now a race to find Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy to get the envelopes.
This looks like a piece of the film the shadow creature destroyed up in the projection room.
What's it doing down here?
Maybe a better look at this film will give us a clue. Come on!
It's a scene from the movie, all right.
A location scene. And isn't that Brandon Davies in the background? Philatelist? Jinkies! I've got it! We've got to find Shaggy in those envelopes before the shadow creature does. Come on!
Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy have their last run-in with the shadow creature and finally end up capturing him with the help of a secret library door and a pool table.
You got him all right.
Unmasking the shadow creature, it turns out to be Brandon Davies, who was seen in the film leaving the stamp shop. He was stealing the stamps so he could afford his house.
The first clue was the newspaper story about the priceless first day covers.
Right. They're not blankets at all, but a special and very valuable kind of stamp.
Then the shadow creature wasn't trying to break up the Batty Awards. He was after the stamps.
Wrong. He already had the stamps. He was after the film.
But why?
Because one of its scenes accidentally showed the thief leaving the stamp shop after the robbery. Brandon Davies impersonated the shadow creature so it would be blamed when he destroyed the film.
But why would a rich man like Mr. Davies have to steal stamps?
Because I'm not a rich man. Well, not anymore. I needed the money to keep this house and continue the Batty Awards.
With another mystery solved, the gang head off on their next adventure. I give this episode an 8 out of 10. This is a cool episode and very fun. I loved how it took place at an award show in this mansion, this kind of creepy mansion. And you had all those guests dressed up as monsters and whatnot. Very cool stuff. My rating of 8 might seem a little bit low because I do like this episode a lot, but it had some flaws. And the biggest flaw for me, which I guess with time I could probably get over, is the change in the voice work for Velma. Marla is a great voice artist, but she is no Velma. I'll tell you that much. It does not match Velma at all. It just pulled me out of the episode every time she talked. Velma really didn't have much of a personality compared to Velma of the past, I would say. And I guess she kind of had maybe a subtle New England accent, which didn't really fit Velma. I don't know if that's the actual accent. It's just what it reminded me of.
Sir, you have no call to get snippy with me. I'm just doing my job here.
And yeah, every time Velma talked, I was just pulled out of the episode. So I'm giving it a lower ranking because of that. Otherwise, I loved the setting and I loved all the suspects. I liked the bitter Dracula actor character dude. He was cool. And it was nice again to see the audience dressed up in all these costumes, and they played tribute to some past Scooby-Doo monsters. For example, we see the ghost of Mr. Hyde in some spots, and the zombie and some other characters as well that I'm forgetting. The entire mystery itself it's pretty well written. I liked how the main reason the person wanted to destroy the movie was because it filmed him stealing some stamps or whatever or whatnot. But the whole selling the stamps thing to afford his home just kind of seemed also incredibly silly. And what are the chances of him getting caught on camera and put in a movie? It's not like movies can really just run out on the street and start filming. You have to get like write-offs of people who appear in your movie, or otherwise you got to blow their faces and whatnot. And I just didn't believe that part. It was kind of confusing, and they just kind of just glossed over it quickly. I don't think even the writers really knew. They're just like, oh, this happened. The end. Shadow creature design, very cool too. A little bit generic and somewhat forgettable. Like, I don't think, again, this will be a creature we'll ever see a Funko Pop for, or we'll see him get much love. But I thought he was kind of scary looking and well acted and voiced, and I liked him a lot, I guess, to some degree. And this is the 101 episode of Scooby-Doo, if we're going by order and whatnot. And it's understandable that he's a bit generic, because how many cool, unique designs can you come up with after 101 episodes, right? I certainly couldn't on my own. Anyway, if this one had a bit of a better memory and maybe an interesting backstory for the villain as well, they don't really go into any backstory. I like a backstory. Give me more of a backstory. Give me less chase scenes. Give me a little bit more mystery. This would have been a 10 out of 10 for sure. And of course, if Marla wasn't voicing Velma, 10 out of 10 for sure. Still totally watchable, and I'm sure I'd get over the Marla thing after more and more episodes. It just takes time. Anyway, join me next week when I will be covering Rocky Mountain Yai. And once again, thank you for any likes, views, subscribes, shares, comments. You all mean the world to me. Anyway, next week. Until then, stay spooky.